This is Erin Hobson of Rhinebeck School of Music, and in this lesson we're going to talk about ninth chords. So ninth chords are a very cool extension, and I'm going to help you learn how to form these chords in theory as well as practical application. I'm going to talk about song examples. So first we're going to talk about the theory. If you want to skip that, you can skip ahead to the actual voicings I'm going to use and applying them to songs you might have heard, or ones that maybe you should learn just to get to use these in a practical application. For patrons, I am attaching a PDF on Patreon with the chord voicings that I'm going to talk about and some of the tab examples as well. So to understand what a ninth chord is, you have to understand what a major second is. So I'm going to refer to our handy fretboard diagram that all of you should have somewhere. And if I'm using F as an example, if I go 2 frets or 1 whole step from F, I have G, that's my major second. You can start that with any note. So say C is my root, and I go a whole step or 2 frets over, I have D, and that is my major second. So now what is a ninth? So a ninth is your major second in octave higher. So with a lot of these chords that you play in the open position, like your F chord, for example, you'll notice you have 2, sometimes 3 octaves of the root. So in this F chord, I have an F here, I have an A, I have a C, so this is my root, my major third, my fifth, and then this is my higher octave F. It's the same note as this one, just an octave higher. So if this is my root, and this is my major third, and this is my fifth, and this is my 8, or my octave, well 9 is just a whole step higher. And there's my 9, the high G. So if I add my pinky to the 3rd fret of that, I have an F add 9. Why is it an add 9? So an add 9 means I'm maintaining all of the original notes of the chord, the root, the 3rd, and the 5th, but I'm adding a 9th on top of that. So I haven't taken anything away from the original, chord itself. So that's a really handy voicing on the guitar. I'm sure you've played it before, maybe you've heard it before, and that's a movable shape, right? So if this is F, no, add 9, this is F sharp add 9, G add 9, A add 9, you get some really pretty voicings. So one guitar player in particular who used this chord all the time was Jimi Hendrix, right? So Spanish Castle Magic is a good example of that. Where he's just moving that F add 9 around the fretboard. Or like even when he plays Fire. He starts out with the original D chord, adds the 9, goes to a C, adds the 9, etc. He uses it in little wing and that little turnaround. So you have a G add 9 to an F add 9 to a C to the D. So he's one guitar player who really loved that particular voicing. So the F add 9, and it can be moved around the fretboard. So another common voicing, and maybe you've played it before, is the C add 9. So here's my C root and my C chord. So here's my root, C, my 3rd, E, my G is the 5th, my C octave, so that's my 8. So if I go 2 frets or 1 whole step higher than my octave, I have my 9. So you can play a C add 9 by just extending your pinky over here and then go back, or you can, change your voicing around. So like an example, Green Day, Good Riddance, right? You have this G5 to a C add 9 to a D. And there's a million 90s songs and that have that. Everything from Sheryl Crow, Leaving Las Vegas, Wonderwall, Oasis. Also Dust in the Wind, where you have that nice finger picking pattern where you go from C major 7, C add 9, So C add 9, another very nice voicing for the guitar. Another good one, G add 9. So here's my G chord. So here's my low root. B is my third. D is my fifth. Here's my octave G. And if I move that a whole step to A, then I have this really nice G add 9. Every breath you take, every move you... Now here's another cool voicing. You can do it with the minor chords as well, not just the major chords. So here's my E minor, and I'm taking this octave E here, because E, B, and now here's another E octave. Move it a whole step to F sharp, and then my minor third is right below it. A little darker, a little more haunting. So every breath you take, you have a G add 9 to an E minor add 9. Then there's some sus2 chords in there. And in the chorus, they have a really nice voicing. This is the A add 9. So here's my A chord here. So I have A, B, there's my octave A. So I'm going to move that over to a B. And there's my A add 9. Really nice voicing as well. So Jane says, Jane's Addiction. They go from a G to an A, add 9 back to the A. That's another example of using that chord. And then another really cool way to use the ninth chords is by using them kind of stacked off of the power chord. And this is something that guitar players use a lot. So if you have a power chord here, right? Here's my root, here's my fifth. My octave would be here, but if I extend that octave 2 frets higher, or a whole step, I have these really nice ninth power chords, or arpeggios. So an example of that is Message in a Bottle. So you have a C sharp, to an A, to a B, to an F sharp. And another example of that, Satellite by Dave Matthews. So you have this A flat add 9, then he does these little power chord intervals. Dave Matthews used these chords quite often too. So try to listen to some of these songs, maybe try to learn some of these songs, and figure out how to take some of the voicings that you might already know and try to turn them into ninth chords or add 9 chords. So in this lesson, we only did it with our basic major and minor chords as add 9s, but you can also do them with 7th chords, which would really be nice to add that 7th, the major 7th, or even the minor 7th in there, but that gets more into like jazzier voicings, which I'll do in a later video. But for now, we're just keeping it simple for the folkies and the rockers, those who are just trying to expand upon their basic knowledge of chords and haven't ventured into 7th chords yet. And really, like, to simplify all of this, all you really need to do is take any voicing that you know of and find your higher octave root note, move it over a whole step, and then you've got your add 9 chord. You can do them with minor, you can do them with major. Of course, you can also do them with dominant 7s, and that's getting into blues and jazz too, and I'll cover those in a later lesson. But hopefully you found this helpful, and hopefully this can help you spice up your chord vocabulary a little bit. If you haven't already, visit www.rhinebeckschoolofmusic.com, subscribe to the channel, become a patron, www.patreon.com/rhinebeckschoolofmusic. I'll see you at the next one.